In the breaking news, Donald Trump, an assassination attempt on his life. He is okay from what we are being told. And we're going to be here with you along with ABC News to tell you about just maybe the craziest election of our lifetime. It's Gaydos, along with Joe Huizenga from the Chris and Joe Show. All right, so we both got the call a couple hours ago. Joe, we finished talking about 14 days of Joe Biden and how bad it's been for the president. And you think, what else could really happen in this election? And this is really the last thing you would ever think. At least for me, it is. Why don't we start with exactly the moment where everybody said, well, those are shots fired. Oh, my goodness, did Trump just get shot? And by the way, we don't think he actually got shot. We're still working on that. But let's play some of the audio. Because I think let's hear it and then let's break it down.
So the former president in Butler, Pennsylvania, holding this rally right around 3:30 or so our time, 6:30 Eastern. He's at the mic. You'll hear him speak briefly here, and then you'll hear some real faint pops. Let's roll it.
Take a look at what happened.
And I'll play it again for you because what you hear, and you can hear it faintly, you hear a couple pops real quickly, which people on scene are saying was the shooter who was shooting at the former president. And then you hear Secret Service's gunfire. And,
interesting.
And the person who was trying to presumably assassinate the former president is deceased. The Secret Service took him out. So here it is again.
Take a look at what happened.
So the question everybody wants to ask and get it answered: did Trump actually get shot? There are reports that his teleprompter may have gotten shot, and the glass popped out, and shattered and struck him in the ear. Because as we listen to that audio, Donald Trump is speaking, and you hear the first pop, and it's like he has a bee in his right ear, and he goes to shoo it away. So he's waving at his right ear. There are pictures, and you go to KTAR.FM, there's blood across his right cheek, and there's blood across his top lip, and he was very bloodied on the right ear. Now, we don't know how all that happened. That could have happened when the Secret Service grabbed him and pushed him all the way to the ground. I don't know. But his right ear was bloodied. Apparently, he is in the hospital. He's fine. This is a horrific day for America, no matter what you think of Trump and politics. And this, just one person trying to shoot somebody, trying to kill a former president and maybe the next president. It's unspeakable. And this is just absolutely horrific.
So you've got the former president injured at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. This is what it sounded like. The microphone from his event was still on as he goes to the ground. You've got Secret Service jumping on top of him. And then as this clip plays out, you hear Secret Service ultimately get him to an SUV and start to get him off of the stage. But it takes about a minute and a half for all of that to play out. So you can hear some of those pops. And that's Secret Service saying, move, get up.
You ready? Are we good? Shooter's down. Are we good to move?
So they're saying the shooter's down.
Let's move. Let's move. We're clear.
They're clear to go.
I got you, sir. I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes, sir.
And that's the former president there saying that he's trying to get his shoes to walk away.
Watch out.
Wait.
Let's pause it there. So you hear the crowd start to pop because Donald Trump is a showman. He knew what was going on, and he knew he was still on TV, and he knew that he could get something out of this, that he could rise to the occasion. And what he did was he clenched his fist.
With the Secret Service swarmed around
Dragging
him
him
in a
out.
bubble.
And he looked tough. And that's, listen, he always takes, how do I say this? He knows he's on television, and he always seems to make the right move. I'll give you an example. It's like when he was debating against President Biden, and Biden was just fumbling all over the place. Donald Trump knew that there was a 2-shot on him. And Trump would make this kind of face, and it's like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. So Trump, even without talking, he was speaking to the audience without verbalizing anything. It's his facial cues. And he's in the middle of this mess. And he still decides, all right, this is an opportunity for me. I'm going to clench my fist. By the way, when he did it, there was an American flag in the back. You're going to see that for a long time. He's going to be remembered from this as being defiant and brave in the face of potential deadly violence. That's how a lot of people are going to see this.
You see the images of it. It almost looks like something like bit him in the ear.
Yeah.
His whole ear is swelled up and red, and you see blood coming from it. You see the president with a clenched fist.
Yeah.
It looked to me like he was screaming or shouting the word "fight." As Secret Service, as soon as you see the shot, he moves his right hand to the right side of his face, covers up his ear, and goes to the ground. Secret Service pounces on top of him. He apparently had his shoes come off, and then they swarm around him in a bubble, and you see him with his fist scream "fight" at the crowd a couple times, and they started to chant USA.
It's almost like when you're at, let's say you're at a concert or a baseball game or something, and there's an unruly person, right? And 5 or 6 security guys have to swarm the person and take him out, and they're being defiant. That's kind of like what Trump looked like. It looked like he didn't want to leave the stage. He kept putting his right hand fist in the air. Listen, Donald Trump is a genius at taking something that is bad and turning it into gold. And as bad as the situation was today, it's going to end up helping him. And I know that sounds odd, and I know that sounds weird, and maybe it's inappropriate for the first, a few hours. But politically, he handled it and looked strong. While the last 14 days we've watched Joe Biden look weak, but I think, it looks like there's an innocent woman who was killed. And that's going to be part of this story, and it should be. The guy who tried to shoot Donald Trump, I don't care. He's dead. Good. You try and shoot,
2 others at the rally also wounded in the hospital.
Right. But I think we have one fatality other than the shooter.
Somebody else at the rally was killed.
Somebody went to the rally and just wanted to see the show or enjoy her president, talking, and that person is dead. And that's just unspeakable. I mean, you think, I'll tell you this, that has got to be one of the safest places, that should have been one of the safest places you could have gone to today in the entire United States.
Everybody who was at that rally had to go through a metal detector.
Right.
But this shooter supposedly was outside of the perimeter, was not somebody who attended the rally.
Yeah. If you're just joining us, Gaydos, Joe Huizenga on KTAR. That's 539. An attempt on Donald Trump's life. Yeah, if you're just getting into the car and you're hearing that. An attempted assassination on Donald Trump at a campaign rally in Pennsylvania. It looked like he was shot at. We have the killer, the shooter, I should say. He's dead. There's another person who is innocent at this rally who has now lost their life. We don't know if Trump actually got shot. The teleprompter may have gotten shot, and the glass struck him in the ear. But this was a bloody man who who had to be pulled off the stage by the Secret Service.
The former president. Yeah.
Trump had to be pulled off the stage because he was ticked off. He also knew that there was a camera on him, and he made as much of the situation as he can. So security, Joe, we talk about metal detectors. You got to go through this. Listen, Trump when did Trump came to the Valley a couple weeks ago? You're not allowed with any bags in. You got to go through a metal detector. You're going to be wanded. You've got to get in line early. There's a perimeter that is certainly made well before Trump ever gets near the building.
Because it's presumed that whoever was shooting at the former president is like behind where the cameras were, so you can't see that.
Way behind. I'm thinking like in a different building.
You can see the crowd behind the former president. And
because you've got the podium and Trump, then you've got the crowd, and then you've got the media and the cameras and all that. But this guy must have had a sniper and must have been well far away, because my guess, you're not sneaking that in.
But based on where the camera is, you can't see what's pointed in that direction. Now, back in 2016, when the former president was on the campaign trail, he would wear a bulletproof vest. Former President Trump said at the time. He was taking precautions. Don't know if he was wearing one now or if he wears one when he goes out to these rallies.
I think they all wear one. I mean, remember when Bush wore one on 9/11 at Yankee Stadium when he had to throw the first pitch out? I mean, there's no question that these guys almost always wear a bulletproof vest. But again, reiterating, this should have been the safest place. There's certain parts. Like, there's certain places you go. I'll give you an example. I was just in Washington, D.C., and we went, not in the White House, but right at the White House, right? The gates and all that kind of stuff and the fences and all that. And we were talking to one of the Secret Service agents, and I was like, it's so strange that I could get right to the White House lawn. It's kind of weird, isn't it? And he goes, no, this is the safest place in the country. No one's getting in. We've got this place looked at on every camera. There are hundreds of people ready to go. You would think at a rally like this, and again, maybe everyone did their job. Everyone was screened, but
everyone was who was at the rally.
Where was this guy? He wasn't far enough away.
No, and it makes me think, too, what do we have coming up this upcoming week? The Republican National Convention in Milwaukee.
Right.
If you want to talk about a security threat there, I mean, you've got several buildings there, and
if you think that place was safe yesterday, or at least was going to be locked down,
they sweep it repeatedly, and those events take place inside. This was an outdoor rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, but my goodness, should never see anything like this. The last time that there was an assassination.
Hang on one second, Joe. Let's go to the county. Who is it? The county sheriff in Pennsylvania talking about where the shooter was. Let's go to that live.
I can confirm the shooter was not within the venue. The shooter was on the roof of a building that was adjacent to the venue. And so they would not have had to go through the security process of entering the rally and, be subject to the search and everything.
All right. The county sheriff out in Pennsylvania saying that this guy was on the roof of a building adjacent to the venue. I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know how
so
many
like directly
buildings,
across from where the former president was speaking. I mean, wouldn't you think that those buildings all need to be searched and cleared?
Yeah. I mean, the Secret Service did go and kill this guy, the shooter,
almost immediately,
very quickly. All right, we've got the breaking news on KTAR. The whole world is talking about this. It's Gaydos and Joe Huizenga here at KTAR, an assassination attempt on the life of Donald Trump. If you're just joining us, he was speaking in Pennsylvania, and all of a sudden you heard pops. And it was very clear that there was a shooter, and it seemed that Trump got hit near his right ear. And the Secret Service came out. They got him down from the podium. They piled on top of him immediately. His right ear was very bloodied. We don't know if he took a bullet. We think it was glass from the teleprompter that may have struck him in the ear.
He just told some reporters. He said he heard a whizzing sound and felt a bullet rip through my skin. Is what he said.
I'll tell you, Joe. I thought he got grazed.
Well, you see blood. You see blood by his ear, and you see as soon as whatever happened, he reaches his hand up, like towards his ear, towards the right side of his face, and I thought so too. But at the same point in time, it's like, wow, if he was hit by a bullet
on live TV,
he got up rather quickly for that. And
if that bullet was 5 inches to one side, we would have seen something horrific on television.
But what sources say is that a bullet hit the teleprompter that he was using, and that the glass ended up striking his ear.
All right, we got the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. It starts on Monday. Mike Broomhead is out there. He actually just arrived in Milwaukee. He's going to be broadcasting live from the Republican National Convention. Mike, I don't know if you were on the plane and this happened, or where were you when you heard Trump? There was an assassination attempt on his life.
Yeah, I heard about it. I heard about it as I got off the plane. Obviously, it happened, I think, while I was in the air, and then we've been all consumed with the news of this since then. Everybody, there were members of the Arizona delegation to the convention that were on the plane with me. So obviously, this was everything everyone was talking about. We were waiting for our luggage and getting to the hotel, our drivers getting to the hotel. So, yeah, it's a big deal. And we're concerned now about security because it's going to be ramped up like crazy all week.
So supposedly the perimeter around one of the main event centers in Milwaukee has been extended now, Mike. You're there. You're going to be there all week. How concerned are you? How do you feel about security?
You know what? I'm not. First of all, watching those, I've been around a lot of this stuff because when I did some stuff on some of the campaigns behind the scenes, you get to see the Secret Service agents you don't see, not the ones in the suits that talk into their wrists. You see the ones that are armed to the teeth. And so I always have faith in those guys. You saw how well they secured what happened there. I'm not worried about security. I am worried about getting in and out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Mike Broomhead is joining us out in Milwaukee. It is the site of the Republican National Convention. He just landed. There were members of the Arizona delegation that was on the same plane, and everybody's talking about, Trump is saying a bullet ripped through his skin. That's what we're hearing now. If you're just joining us, an assassination attempt on Trump at a campaign rally in Pennsylvania. Mike, I've covered Super Bowls. It's the safest place that you can possibly be. I'm guessing the Republican National Convention is the safest place in the country.
Yeah, and it's going to be a lot different, obviously, than this rally today. An open-air rally with people. It's a lot of different type of security. These facilities are so secure with the credentials you have to have, getting through various checkpoints. They check everybody's bags. Everything that has to stay in the arena had to be in there today before the sweep was done by Secret Service. So, yeah, it's going to be a different environment. It's going to be really secure. But I will tell you this, I can only imagine what that crowd is going to be like when Trump takes the stage.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I told Joe when we started here around 5:30 is he was defiant. He didn't want to leave the stage. He thought he got shot. Maybe he did. We're still trying to figure that out. But he's going to be – I mean, there's a picture of him. He doesn't want to leave. He puts his right fist up in the air.
He's telling people that he was shot by a bullet that pierced the upper part of his right ear.
But, Mike, he's so smart when he's on television. He knows he's on TV, and he knows, oh, my gosh, this just happened. Well, I'm going to make something out of it. And he did. And people are going to look at a bloodied Donald Trump on the right side of his face. He was shot at. And he didn't want to leave the stage. He was completely defiant. And
then I don't know if you saw the video, but as they walked him, they actually make a wall around him. And they took that wall all the way to the vehicle, to the SUV that took him out of there. And as they were pushing him into the SUV, he stood up on the running board and pumped his fist in the air at the crowd again while they pushed him in because they didn't want him exposed at all. So, yeah, you're right. He was definitely sending a message all the way out of that place.
Mike, you've been to a number of rallies where you've seen presidents speak. You've introduced some before. Have you ever thought to yourself in that crowd, gosh, Am I safe here? I wonder if anybody could do anything or if anybody – have you been to an open-air rally where you've looked around and thought, gosh, I wonder if somebody could be standing in that building over there like what happened today?
I guess it's a passing thought. You don't really – when something like that happens, you listening to the interviews in the last hour or so, people are saying we thought it was a firecracker. It still doesn't dawn on you until it's real. But I've never felt unsafe. I've never worried for my life. And I've watched the Secret Service. I've interacted with them at events, so I know how good they are at what they do. So, no, I've never felt unsafe. But, man, after doing this today, it's got to be on the front of everybody's mind this week.
Mike Broomhead is joining us, excuse me. He's at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, and he just landed. We've talked about Biden for the last 14 days, and can he even run? And gosh, the guy looks so weak, and he's talking about people, he's calling Vice President Harris, Vice President Trump. And I'm just thinking to myself, and you and I talk about this too, like what else can happen? This wasn't on my bingo card. I mean, sure, you can take a shot at a president. We saw Ronald Reagan get shot. Obviously, we know JFK, RFK. I know how polarizing Donald Trump is, but I can't believe that this happened. It's a terrible day for America that this happened. If you don't like Trump, I get it. Just don't vote for him.
Right.
But my goodness, what was this man thinking? Are you surprised that someone took a shot at him?
No, I'm not. I'm never surprised anymore by the things we see.
Right?
Unfortunately, I'm not surprised, but I'm anxious. What I am anxious for is the FBI conducts this investigation, because I'm sure they're going to take the lead on this. That who this guy is, they usually leave a trail of some kind. What was he posting on social media? What was his motivation? I'm anxious to see that. I'll tell you, for the convention, the way it's set up for protesters and people outside of what we call the safe zone, that's where I think there's going to be more trouble or likelihood of trouble than anywhere else. The rest of us, once we're in, we are going to be totally safe.
Yes.
It's the people on the perimeter and the protesters, I think that's where people are going to worry.
Yeah. Mike Broomhead live from Milwaukee. We'll be checking in with you all week live from the RNC. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes tonight, Mike. Be safe out there.
Always a pleasure with you guys, man. I look forward to talking to you tomorrow and Monday.
Yep. All right, Mike Broomhead, 8 o'clock, Monday, an assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Campaign rally in Pennsylvania. He is speaking, and all of a sudden he's waving like something had hit his right ear. And Joe, I saw it. I thought he got grazed by a bullet. He's saying he did get shot. Other reports say a bullet struck the teleprompter glass, and that is what ended up cutting his face and his ear. Trump is at a hospital. He's going to be okay. But it was mayhem. Let's hear the audio again, and then we're gonna take you to the White House because President Biden has spoken about the issue.
This is what it sounded like at about 3:15 our time this afternoon.
Take a look at what happened.
You hear 3 shots, plain as day, and then you hear a series of very rapid shots.
Yeah.
A brief break, and so what that is the shooter firing off what I hear is 3 shots, and then all of a sudden, Secret Service or security on scene taking out the shooter. The shooter is deceased. One other person at this rally has tragically died. Somebody who just shows up to a rally to either just enjoy the former president or just see what he's all about, and then 2 other people in critical condition as well.
All right, so what's going to be talked about certainly tomorrow and Monday, how was this shooter able to get anywhere near this rally? Apparently he was on the roof. Some are saying he was 150 yards away. How is that in the world? How does that happen? How in the world do you let this happen?
Yeah, you've got Secret Service who, the second this happened, surrounds former President Trump in a bubble,
right,
and gets him off the stage within about 90 seconds.
But the shooter must have been somewhat close because they took that guy out fast.
And there's a BBC interview that I saw from somebody who was not inside the event, but says that they could hear the former president and they were checking things out. And he says he sees this guy crawl up on a roof, and he's like yelling at people like, hey, there's a guy over there on a roof with a rifle.
So it shows you that this man, the shooter, was in close proximity. I don't know how that happens.
And wouldn't you think,
how does that happen
with any former president, any current president, that you've got hundreds of security members, especially if it's indoors? I would say it's a little easier to contain, but if it's an outdoor rally and you've got buildings around, don't you have to have multiple people on every building making sure that whether it's a window or it's a roof, that nobody can do something like this? And we see it happen today.
Assassination attempt on Donald Trump at a campaign rally in Pennsylvania. He was bloodied. The Secret Service, I mean, like eight of them jumped on top of him. He's at the podium. They literally jump on top of him. And so they try and get him off the stage, and he's got his fist clenched up like, bring it. Like, you didn't get me. Let's go. And you'll see this. And there's a picture out there of him bloodied and him with his right hand in the air. Whether you like him or not, doesn't matter. This is an instantly iconic image. Instantly. It's almost like it was a movie because he's got the American flag behind him. He's got blood all over his face.
He's got his crowd totally behind him, too,
and
all decked out in the red, white, and blue, too.
And the crowd went crazy.
Yeah. They're chanting USA, and he's got his fist in the air, and it looked like he was shouting fight.
Right. So we're going over the former president is okay. We're talking about how in the world could this happen? How could you let a shooter was he missed? Did they miss a building? Did they say, listen, we've checked around, the perimeter is fine. Where did the shooter come from? Here's the question, Joe. When the first shot rang out, this is what I want to know, because I want to know how close the shooter was. When the first shot rang out, how many seconds did it take the Secret Service to kill him? We don't have that answer.
No.
But it seems like it was rather quick.
Oh, it was incredibly quick.
Which tells me he was rather close.
I mean, listen to it, Gaydos. You can hear it right here. You can.
But I don't know if those are the shots that killed the shooter.
Well, I'm pretty confident that they are. And here's what I hear.
Take a look at what happened.
Sounds like about 3 seconds from the last shot that was fired. So maybe 4 or 5 seconds total from the first shot fired by the shooter to when they were able to take this person out.
There are going to be a ton of questions here about what happened. President Joe Biden, he spoke about somewhere around an hour ago. Obviously, he's had a very troubling last 14, 15 days. People are telling him, you got to get out of the race. And everybody's talking about Joe Biden. Well, not anymore. Everybody's talking about Donald Trump almost getting killed. Let's listen to a few of the things that President Biden had to say.
Look, there's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this.
And then he was trying to get in touch with Donald Trump.
I'll keep you informed, and if I am able to speak to Donald, I'll let you know that as well. But so far, it appears he's doing well, number one. Number two, that they're thoroughly investigating what happened to anyone else in the audience. We have some reports, but not final reports.
Yeah, there's someone who lost their life at this. Some of you have gone to a Trump rally in Arizona. He's been having them since 2015.
I've been to a couple. Been to a couple. They were inside. They were not outside.
Yeah.
They were downtown at the Phoenix Convention Center. And, we had Mike Broomhead on, who's at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. And Mike's been to numerous events where presidents have spoken. Not once in my mind did I ever think, I wonder if somebody could get a gun through the door or get a bomb in here. Never went through my mind.
Well, and you would think that, the people there that are there to see Trump, you probably don't even have to screen them. They love this guy. Obviously, someone could come in, disguised, but I don't know how this guy got so close. That's going to be one of the big things that we're talking about. By the way, the president had to come out fast. It's a nasty election. Biden's gotten crushed in 14, 15 days. Very smart for him to come out and say something. Because if you even wait, if you dilly-dally, if you don't come out immediately, you look bad. And so Biden, incredibly fast, came out and said, listen, we got to put a stop to this. So if you're just joining us, a shooting at the Trump rally, it's being investigated. The shooter is dead. An attendee at the rally was killed. Can you imagine? Donald Trump, bloodied,
Yeah, whisked off stage with surrounded by Secret Service. 3 of them jumped on him the second that it happened, and then he's pumping his right fist on stage. As you see his right fist, and Gaydos, it looked to me like you think back to when Evander Holyfield was bit by Mike Tyson in that ear and how awful it looked. You see Donald Trump's ear, and it's just red and it's bloody, and it looked like that to me. You see blood coming down his face, and he stops the Secret Service a couple times to pump his fist. And I don't know if they backed up his SUV or if they just had it there. But within about 90 seconds, they get the former president to his SUV to get him out of there. And then he raises his fist again as they're loading him in, turns to the crowd, and they get him in the SUV and get him out of there. But just a crazy scene to just see Secret Service surround a political figure like this.
Here's the crazy thing. Most politicians aren't going to do what he just did there. They're going to let the Secret Service carry him out or move him quickly. Trump didn't move fast. He would not let them move him.
Supposedly his shoes fell off for a moment, too, or his shoes came off. You can hear him.
He stayed on the stage. I mean, I'm watching it right now. He's not moving. Like
you can hear him.
It's crazy.
The microphone stayed on, and you can hear him saying, "I've got to get my shoes." But even then, he's egging the crowd on.
Because he knows he's still on television, and he knows he can get a win out of that politically. Overall, listen, there was an innocent person that was killed here. That person's not going home to their family.
It's awful.
It's awful. Donald Trump is okay. The shooter is dead. An assassination attempt. Goodness gracious, what has this come to? An assassination attempt on Trump at a campaign rally in Pennsylvania. And nobody thought we'd be talking about this today. And Donald Trump, an assassination attempt on his life. We've got more details, certainly, as we continue along. It was an assassination attempt, I should say. The shooter is dead, killed by the Secret Service. Donald Trump on stage. You heard the pops. Pop, 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 and he waved at his right ear like he had gotten, maybe got grazed by a bullet. He was bloodied across his cheek and above his lip, and his right ear was bloodied, and the Secret Service got on top of him and was protecting him. And when they got the all clear, they wanted to remove him from the stage, but Trump didn't really want to go. And he just kept putting his fist in the air saying, fight, fight, fight. And, they finally got him off the stage. It's a bizarre reaction. But, Donald Trump, when he sees an opening, even for something so terrible that happened today, he tries to make a win out of it. So Trump has a statement.
So he went on Truth Social and he said, "I want to thank the United States Secret Service and all of law enforcement for their rapid response on the shooting that just took place in Butler, Pennsylvania. Most importantly, I want to extend my condolences to the family of the person at the rally who was killed and also to the family of another person that was badly injured." My editorial here, we now know that 2 people were injured. Trump, it is incredible that such an act can take place in our country. Nothing is known at this time about the shooter, who is now dead. I was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear. I knew immediately that something was wrong and that I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin. Much bleeding took place, so I realized then what was happening. God bless America.
Well, we'll find out if it was a bullet. I don't know.
We've had other people. The Secret Service told the TMZ Trump wasn't hit by a bullet. A bullet hit his teleprompter, and the glass struck him in the right ear. Whatever it was, I mean, it's just insane, to think that somebody goes to a rally with the intention of assassinating a president, and we're actually able to get shots off. I'm not surprised that somebody wants to kill a presidential candidate, whether, it's Biden or it's Trump. But getting anywhere near these guys, almost impossible. I mean, we haven't seen...
It should be impossible.
When was the last time? 1981? Reagan? Reagan ended up getting
shot. Hit? Yeah. But there's going to be a huge investigation here. I mean, you have to give the Secret Service credit for a couple things. The first thing was killing the shooter, it seemed almost immediate.
About 5 seconds after you hear his first shot, you hear a succession of shots that were fired by authorities on the scene, and the shooter was killed.
But the question's going to be asked, somebody blew it.
So
Somebody blew it because this guy got close enough to get a shot off on the former president and the presidential candidate. Somebody did not do a good job today. I mean, that's how this. You cannot allow this to happen. Let me throw this out too, because this was on. I guess I'm assuming it was on Fox Live. Let's say that the bullet did graze his ear. If this guy was a better shot, we would have seen something on television so horrific. It goes back to the days of JFK being assassinated. It would have shown him getting shot in the face. He avoided for one reason or another. He avoided getting shot in the face. And the only thing on my way here to do the show with you, Joe, was what if that guy didn't miss? And we would have seen that on television.
it's awful.
We would have seen him get murdered on television. We would have seen him get assassinated on live TV, and then it would be all over social media. If he had made a better shot. It's hard to believe how quickly that thing could have went differently. So Donald Trump, an assassination attempt on his life. The shooter is dead. I think we have one person who was innocent, certainly, and was killed at the Trump rally. As Trump said on Truth Social, one of the first things he talked about was, his condolences are with the family of the person at the rally who was killed.
2 others in critical condition. And let's talk about this for a minute, Gaydos. Yep. There was somebody at this rally who was not inside the event. Let's talk about that next. The BBC caught up with this gentleman who was at the rally, and he describes what he saw the shooter do, actually crawling up a building.
Oh, gosh.
And being able to almost assassinate former President Trump today.
KTAR, an assassination attempt on the life of Donald Trump. It all happened at a campaign rally today. The world is talking about it. He was in Pennsylvania speaking, and he looked like after a couple of pops, it looked like he was waving at his right ear, and there was blood across his cheek. He went down. Donald Trump says that he got shot. There are other reports that says the bullet kind of hit the teleprompter and the glass struck him in the ear. I don't really think it matters. The president of the former president of the United States, who wants to now be the next president of the United States, has survived an assassination attempt. I don't know what else could happen in this campaign on both sides. It's the damnedest thing I've ever seen in my life.
We've got reports that this shooter who tried to take out and assassinate former President Trump got off as many as 8 shots. And you see the former president get up with Secret Service surrounding him in a bubble, and he's waving his fist, chanting at the crowd. Looks like he said fight. And it took him about 90 seconds to very tactfully get him to his SUV and get him out of there to safety.
He didn't want to get off the stage.
No, he got up and he was PO'd.
My goodness. And it's an incredible scene. You're going to see it all over the place. It's now going to be an iconic photo of Donald Trump bloodied with the Secret Service around him with his right fist in the air and an American flag exactly behind him.
But I got to tell you, everybody today should be happy. How awful would it be to see anybody killed on live TV? Yeah. Like, to see anything like that. Thank goodness he's okay.
I think you have to go there. This man could have been shot in the face on live television and killed.
It's awful. Can't be worse than that.
He could have been shot in the face on live television and had been killed. And it doesn't matter what you think of Donald Trump. If you're somebody out there that says, "Oh yeah, that would have been great," well, you're not an American then.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so who's the shooter? We don't know yet. We do know he's dead. Who saw the shooter?
So there was somebody at this rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, who was not inside the event. Everybody who was inside the event had to go through metal detectors. This gentleman is outside. A reporter ends up catching up with him. And this is a couple minutes here, Gaydos. Let's walk through it, though. Right. And he tells this reporter exactly what he saw. 1 second.
So we walked up, and probably 5 to 7 minutes of Trump speaking. I'm estimating here. I have no idea, But we noticed a guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle. We could clearly see him with a rifle.
So think about that for a second. This guy is just there to hang out, observe this rally in Pennsylvania, and he sees some guy climbing up this building with a rifle, and he's trying to get the attention of the cops.
Here's the thing, though. I don't know if the shooter was in camouflage or if he looked like a Secret Service person, or I have no idea, because the only people that have guns are the good guys.
Supposed to.
Yeah. All right. Let's keep listening.
Absolutely. We're pointing at them. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? Like they didn't know what was going on. We're like, hey, right here on the roof. We can see him from right here. We see him. He's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him off the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for, 2-3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots ring out.
So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof?
100%. 100%.
And he was up there for a couple of minutes.
He was up there.
You saw him up there for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. At least 3 to 4 minutes.
And you were telling the police and the Secret Service?
We were telling the police. We were pointing at him for the Secret Service, who were looking at us from.
You've got to think that this guy was not dressed like Secret Service.
I don't know. Probably not. But from what we understand, as many as 8 shots were fired by the shooter. And it seemed the first shot was the one that either grazed Trump's ear or hit the teleprompter and the glass in front of him, and then the glass shattered and hit him in the ear. I don't know which one happened.
And supposedly they were able to take out this shooter in a matter of moments.
There are going to be huge questions about security. Donald Trump has done hundreds of these rallies, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these rallies. And, security is a huge deal here. There are people that want to kill Joe Biden. There are people that want to kill Donald Trump. And I'm worried about the next incident. So who is this going to tick off? Is it going to tick off somebody who's so angry that maybe they're a Trump supporter and they're kind of on the edge, and they're like, okay, you guys want to shoot my guy? I'm going to try and shoot your guy.
See, I guess when I think about,
I'm just worried about the retaliatory violence.
Any kind of assassin or anything like that, I don't even put them in the, we talk all the time, left, right, conservative, liberal.
Right.
I don't even put them in those buckets. If you're doing anything like this, you are crazy.
Yeah.
And you are unhinged mentally.
But there are far left groups who want to cause chaos, and there are far right groups.
And then there's just crazy people out there who want to kill any politician for any number of reasons. I mean, what were some of the motivations of the past? I'm trying to think about people who've tried to take out presidents. It wasn't always like, hey, I'm doing this for the left or I'm doing it for the right. It was, who am I thinking of? Somebody who tried to take out a president was trying to do it on, like, they thought an actress wanted it to happen or something like that.
Jodie Foster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
when Reagan was shot, right?
It's like sometimes it's just craziness.
That's true. There's no question about it. What was it, John Hinckley?
I think so, yeah.
Shot Reagan, right. And Hinckley was stalking Hollywood actress Jodie Foster.
And he said he did it for her.
So a couple new things that we're reporting to you. The shooter had as many as 8 shots fired.
Some sort of AR-style rifle.
That's the second part. AR-style rifle. I want to know how close he was. I want to know how close he was. There are reports that he was 150 yards away.
So we're talking 450 feet. That's a football field and a half.
Right. How far does the Secret Service have to go? I mean, like, that's going to be the big question come Monday.
Oh, come
or
on.
Sunday or Monday.
An outdoor rally?
How far do they have to secure? Are we talking blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks and every building within a mile? I don't know.
Oh, if the building, you've got to think about lines of sight.
Right.
Any sort of line of sight. You've got to be inside on top of every building. And then I'm not a detonation expert, but you've got to think about, hey, could somebody blow this up? And then you've got to think about how close would they have to be to plant some kind of bomb and do things like that. And there's people way smarter than you and me who have to run all of those drills and know, hey, we have to have this much blocked off. This all needs to be secure, and we need to have people inside all these buildings. And they obviously did not have it right today.
So I'm watching all these different angles of Trump at the podium, and one angle you can see to the very far right of Donald Trump, there is a sniper. It's an American, though. It's an American soldier or Secret Service, and they've got a sniper, and it's pretty close to Donald Trump. And so this shows you, like, they're looking for people. They're looking for people on top of buildings, and
I'm sure there's people who are on top of and inside buildings.
That's true too. But you know, I'm in plain sight. If you were to look at Donald Trump speaking, okay, today, let's say you were center stage, you're watching him face on. To your left, you clearly see
somebody with a weapon.
But it's a Secret Service member,
right?
And they're trying to keep the president safe. I wonder if that could be the person that ended the shooter's life. We don't know. We don't know. Donald Trump is out of the hospital. He says he was shot in the ear. Other reports say it may have been glass. One person, an innocent bystander, is dead. I mean, this whole election has gotten out of hand. And I'm scared for what's next because no one will be able to predict it. But we do have the Republican National Convention starting Monday. I mean, my goodness. An assassination attempt of Donald Trump. Gut-wrenching video that we've all seen now. An apparent shooting of the former president. There are different reports. Donald Trump says that he was grazed by a bullet on the right ear. I mean, I thought he was.
So did I when I first saw it.
Yeah.
But how insane is that to think about?
Crazy.
How lucky must you be if you were grazed by a bullet from a couple 100 feet away?
Yeah. And even if he wasn't grazed by a bullet, we know that bullets were shot towards him.
Could have been some glass from the teleprompter that exploded that ended up catching him in the ear and blood all over the right side of his face as he was surrounded by Secret Service in what I would describe as like a bubble-style protection maneuver to get him to his SUV and get him out of there.
Rushed off the stage with his fist clenched in defiance of the attacker. It's certainly deeply disturbing and is I guess, eerily reminiscent of Reagan in D.C. in 1981 getting shot.
Here's what it all sounded like around 3:15 this afternoon, our time.
Take a look at what happened.
You hear Secret Service yell, get down, and then what are we doing? What are we doing? And Gaydos, count with me real quick here because you can hear the shooter shooting, and then I do hear a different style of weapon.
Take a look at what happened.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you can hear, like, right when that happens, like, real quick, you hear another style of weapon that goes off. And, gosh. So it sounds like eight shots fired by this shooter and then taken out in a matter of seconds.
Yeah. And we are seeing all these different videos on social media of different angles. I'll tell you this, at 6:50, don't be surprised if Donald Trump does something tonight. He's going to capitalize on this. he just got shot at.
Yeah.
He just got shot at.
You asked just a few moments ago, you said, did somebody screw up today?
Yeah. Because, again, I mean, the Secret Service has a very difficult job, but they took the guy out fast, but that's not what you don't want to have to do that. You want to make sure that everything is safe and you never have to use a gun and shoot anybody. I mean, your basic job is obviously to protect the former president, but it's also to make sure that buildings are cleared, people are cleared out, and how many blocks do we have to go now to make sure that presidents are safe if they're going to be in an outdoor event?
I don't know. I'm not a security expert.
No, neither am I.
I don't know. I'm just speculating here. If anybody who was on the scene doing protection today did anything wrong, they all have a job when they're out there.
Well, they missed somebody.
Well, no, but they might have all been doing their job. But if that's the case, they didn't have enough people out there to have enough eyes on all of these places because somebody
that's unacceptable.
Was able to crawl up a building with an AR-style rifle and fire multiple shots at a former president who's trying to be president again.
If the guy was a better shot, Donald Trump would be dead today.
Yeah. And
if he had gotten off a better first shot.
Somebody is dead today.
Right.
They've got to feel awful about that, too, that you are supposed to, first and foremost, protect the president, but you're supposed to protect everybody who attends these events, and somebody is dead. You've got a former president
an innocent bystander is dead. Who's
bloody in the ear, two other people who are in critical condition. This is awful.
Yeah. It's just an unspeakable tragedy. One, I'm understanding it's a woman that may change. Again, a lot of the stuff that we're telling you is in the moment, and we're trying to keep all the facts straight. But one person, imagine just going to see your president, and you lose your life. We have a family that's in mourning tonight. It is an American tragedy, and Donald Trump is lucky to walk off that stage alive. He is lucky to walk off that stage alive because that bullet wasn't too far from him. And if Trump is right, it grazed his ear. And he's lucky to be alive.
You see the crowd as it happens. They crouch down for a couple seconds, and then you see the former president get up a few seconds later, clench his fist, pump it at the crowd. He's angry. He's mad. Looks like he was chanting fight. Crowd starts to chant USA, and in about 90 seconds, Secret Service was on the former president immediately. Numerous people on top of him, and they got him out of there to his SUV.
I can just hear Trump tonight. We're talking with Pablo. There's UFC tonight. Don't be surprised if he's there. If I'm him, that's where I go. I go to somewhere where I'm going to be welcomed, and I just survived an assassination attempt. I think the best place for you to go is a UFC fight. Toughness. That's what it shows. Shows toughness. I don't think he's going to go home. I don't think he's going to go and sit in a chair and relax. He's going to be all over the place. Tonight, I would guess tomorrow, who's going to get the big interview with Donald Trump? Because I can just hear him say, "You can't kill me. You tried and you can't do it. You don't want me in office? Watch me. Watch me. You can't get rid of me. I'm going to be the next president." And I could just hear him say he's going to use this to his advantage. He's already given condolences to the family who lost a loved one. But he's going to use this, and it's going to turn into a win for him. And he's just a very skilled politician. You don't have to like him. You don't have to like his policies. You could love him. I don't really care. But he's going to turn this whole thing politically into a win. You take the politics out of it, this is a total disaster. A president was almost killed, and an innocent bystander lost their life. It's absolutely tragic. But Donald Trump is going to capitalize on this because that's what he does.
It's kind of your job, too, if you're campaigning.
Right.
You're trying to become the next president of the United States, whether you're, Joe Biden spoke out very quickly.
But Trump's trying to just show you how weak Biden is, and what's the best way to do that? Well, I almost got shot, and I survived it.
Yeah,
it only adds.
Can't top that.
No, a very sad day, This is a really, really sad day. This stuff should not be happening. Unfortunately, it does. It hasn't happened in a long time.
We're all lucky today
that we're not. Yeah, that we're not going to have. Well, I mean, that we're not going to have a former president who was killed on live television.
Yeah.
All right, that'll do it for us. We're going to continue along with ABC News. Keep it here on KTAR today, throughout the weekend. Arizona's Morning News, Jim and Jamie and Detour Dan, followed by Broomhead.
Live from the RNC on Monday.
Right. And then you guys and Bruce and I will take it. Just a tragic day. Donald Trump surviving an assassination attempt. All right, he's Joe Huizenga. I am Gaydos.